Hi, I'm Kiran. This is Manoj. Hello, Manoj.
Nice to meet you, Kiran.
Nice to meet you too. So, Manoj is a computer science engineer from a pretty premier institute in India, and he has been working as a computer engineer for quite some time. After that, he picked up on his passion of painting, which he has been doing for many years, as far as I understand. And he's been doing a lot of paintings of different characters, be it 70s pop culture, be it monochrome paintings, be it bikes like this. A lot of interesting stuff happening with it. Right now, he is a design lead with Wow Labs Bangalore. And I thought, why not catch up with this very interesting young man here and have a word or two with him. Let's see how it goes. All right,
Yeah,
Manoj.
all me then.
So
Right.
we would like to keep it as cool as possible.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and this being one of the
Possible.
early initiatives, we'll do it without any cuts. So let's see how people take it.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
A little bit about Kiran also here, I guess. I've known Kiran for like forever now, like it's practically family.
Right.
He is. And yeah, well, I'm getting all actory here, but then again, it's okay. Yeah, it's about, so basically Kiran wants to do this for, bringing into light the lives of people who actually do things differently, I guess, in Bangalore.
That's true.
And I guess that's what we're going for here, and I'm extremely glad that I'm like the first one to be chosen. Yes. That's just me. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about.
Let's talk about this. So, Manoj, computer science, art, design. It looks like there's a lot of mix between your left brain activity and your right brain activity. So, do you really believe in left and right brains, or is it just one mixed whole?
Yeah, well, what I believe, I guess, don't really matter. There's a lot of literature on this left, right, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, people associate a lot with, your computational stuff to be on the left, and then your creative stuff to be on the right, and all that. So that is your general path that everybody pull on you.
Yeah.
But I guess I believe it's one brain and one person, and what you do with your time is what matters, and that's probably the only motivation I really have.
Right.
Like, there's only so much time that one person would have, and what you do with it is what makes it worthwhile, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people have different ways. I have my ways, and I naturally have an inclination towards design and art simply because I resonate with it. Because I think that's where my left brain also is, if you may. Like, I like to solve problems in those angles as well.
Right.
It all started from, like getting a regular job from a college and then trying to figure out who you are, and I guess my journey took me here.
Right.
And that's how we kind of got here, I guess.
So, how far have you realized who you are? If I ask you, who are you? What will you say?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't like to give any hefty answers to that. I'm pretty young still, I guess. Well, 27 years. There are people who've done so much in 27 years, and it's always a comparison game, isn't it?
Right.
But I'd say I've done okay. I mean, not dead yet, so I guess that counts. And
Yes.
right, and we try and do what we can, right? And yeah, I've always had this inclination towards art, and I think I'd like art to be that one thing that will make me a man.
Right.
But it's a very difficult thing. Like, making it as an artist is painful. I wouldn't say I've ever made it as an artist. I probably would have sold a couple of paintings, but that'd be it.
So, if you were to define your art, so say somebody is looking to aggregate different artists. So, what bracket of art will you fall into?
Okay, so this is a really tough sort of question, but I don't want to give you art history right here, but I'd say a little bit about what I try to do with my art, I guess.
Right.
Forgive me if I'm going over your head.
No.
My head.
Yeah.
So I'd say I fall into this, category of art which broadly is realism.
Right.
And then there is this niche in realism that is called hyperrealism.
Right.
So what hyperrealism really tries to do is obviously everybody kind of understands what realism is, and that's the simplest form of art to consume, I guess,
Right.
because it's pretty much a reflection more than an interpretation, right?
Right.
Though I beg to differ on that. In fact, I tried to do a little bit of an interpretation on this reflection rather than merely get the reflection in my work, right?
Okay.
I mean, it sounds a little heavy right now, but what I tried to
No, there is nothing heavy about it. I believe that that we need to understand these terms. When we use terms, we need to understand them. So you say reflection and an interpretation of the reflection, so to say. So what is it that you're reflecting? Something from your life or something that you wish to see in the future? What is it that you reflect here?
So it's like this, right? So when you go ahead and say for instance these two, right?
Right.
So this is part of this new show I'm planning, and it's sneak preview, by the way.
Yes. First time on this channel. All right.
Right. So this is basically a set of paintings that I'm doing. It's basically a 10-piece set on bikes that used to roam in our country.
Right.
All the way from the 50s to say the current production models. Right. So, but I haven't spent too much time beyond the 80s. So we could safely say that it's from the 50s to the 80s. All the motorcycles that we have come to see and understand and written about, and our fathers resonate with, and our grandfathers have fond memories of. So that is what I'm going for here, right?
Right.
So at least that is the bigger picture of this exhibit.
Right.
It is to drive that conversation, right? That conversation about motorcycles and how they used to be different from our current day motorcycles.
Right.
So essentially, I am trying to carve out a small piece of history here.
Right.
And I think that has some sort of relevance, like, because the medium of paint was the only medium to capture history outside of literature.
Right.
And of late, with the advent of photography, people don't give it that import anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where I feel we are doing no justice to painting as such as a craft.
Right.
And that's where I'd like to fill in and do some of my work. So that is another angle to my work, right? But more importantly, more than all of this,
right,
frankly, when I try to do art, I try to imbibe a subject, understand it, and drive at an emotion that is going for, right? So, say you have any sort of picture. You have an angry picture, you have a calm picture, you have a serene picture, you have a happening picture, you have a moving picture, all of those.
Right.
Right? So, what is the core gesture that it's going for? What is the core feeling that it's going for?
Yeah.
And how to depict it without abstracting it too much. Right?
So, what do you mean by abstracting it too much?
So, this is where I'd like to differ from our normal understanding of modern art, right? Modern art is modern art because it's done contemporarily, like it is in our time.
Yes.
And then it is because it is a new look on certain things.
Yeah.
But people drive for that new look through the concept of abstraction. Right. So this abstraction is essentially their interpretation of a concept. So it could be a concept called love, right?
Yeah.
And they could interpret it in a way that it is a certain sort of purple going straight and then curved, and then there's some reds and blues.
But is there not love coming in your motorcycles? Love for these kind of vehicles? I mean,
yes. So that is definitely there. I'm just trying to differ from my angle of abstraction from the regular angle of modern abstract art. Right. So I am doing the abstraction in a level that is closer to realism.
Yes.
And that is where I say it is hyper realistic.
Right.
By what I mean by hyper realistic is that, say, if you had a photograph of the same bike, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't give it as much import because it is a piece-to-piece copy of the same thing.
Yes.
It's a pixel-to-pixel copy, right?
Yes.
Your real world looks like this.
Yes.
And your camera does not do any interpretation, it just captures it on a sensor and then you work on that, what you have.
Correct.
Obviously, the angle of creativity that comes in photography would be the composition of it.
Yes.
right? So you have your regular drives for composition, you have your rule of thirds, and you have your, it has to have prominence, focus, background, foreground, all of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
All of those things exist in painting as well.
Right.
But if you look beyond it,
Yes.
right, when you look at a picture like this,
Right.
which is a depiction of realism,
Yes.
but it is done not a pixel to pixel way.
Okay.
It is basically a composition that is built layer by layer,
Yeah.
adding feeling on each layer, adding definition on each layer.
Right.
And what you get is an image that is unique
Right.
because it cannot be reproduced. Even if the same artist were to do the same thing,
Yeah.
it is a certain moment in time that is captured with an intention of conveying a certain sort of emotion.
Right.
And the emotion with these paintings in particular, I'm going for is that antiquity and the memory angle that I was just talking about.
Right. Right.
Right? Because essentially this is not, say, this is a Lambretta 125D,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you see this picture,
Yes.
you can say that it is a Lambretta 125D,
Yeah.
but it is not.
Right. Right. How?
Because it is
Huh.
an image
Yeah.
that is derived from a Lambretta 125D.
Right.
It's got a lot of the artist's feelings and then chance. That is
Chance in the sense.
chance in the sense, say, when you're working with, say, a medium of acrylic, right?
Right.
So in the medium of acrylic,
Yeah.
it's a lot like watercolor.
Right.
You could say acrylic is a little bit like watercolor and oils.
Yes.
It is an opaque medium and a transparent medium at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm getting all technical here, but essentially what I mean by chance is not everything an artist wants to do
Yeah.
is entirely him, right? It is part of the medium. It's the properties of the medium working with time
Right.
to create that impression on a canvas or whatever surface the medium is put on.
Great. So, like I would say that if I remember, maybe you may be painting from the age of 8 or 10.
I
So,
guess
so,
that's-
so
that's
right
when I
now we are
started.
seeing approximately about 20 years of painting.
Yeah,
So,
more or less,
how would you say that you have evolved over the 20 years, and how would you like to see your evolution beyond till for the next 60 years? How do you see you evolving?
So, okay, this is something I haven't really. I don't particularly have a concrete answer on this, right? I'm just gonna fab for it a little bit, and please put up with me on this. Right. So I started off doing things in a, I started off painting gift cards in my cousin's bedroom.
Yes, yes.
Right. So she had a lot of these things, and then I figured I had this knack for seeing things intently,
Yes.
if you may.
Yeah.
Like, at least my kind of painting is more about understanding rather than actually producing it. Like, you can't really produce something
Mm-hmm.
or depict something or interpret a reflection, if you may,
Yeah.
if you don't see the reflection yourself.
Right.
Right. So it's not like you look at a picture and then it's not like a photograph that is imprinted in your head
Yeah.
that you're trying to reproduce. It's not.
Right.
It is basically a very minuscule understanding of a macro object
Right.
that is being depicted stroke to stroke sometimes.
Very interesting. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that understanding has evolved, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, I would say I've become a painter. I wouldn't say I've become a painter. I'm trying to be one. I guess. I guess there is a lot of self-actualization to be done.
Yes.
But more than that, it is a play, right? It is kind of like a game that you play, and then you hope that you become like better and bigger and go places.
Right. Right.
Right. So that understanding has definitely improved with practice. I guess
Yes.
practice is what the human condition is all about.
Yes.
Right? So we do that. So that practice has gone forward, and I've not kept it dormant for too long. Well, I've had my breaks, but
Yes. Yes.
but not very long.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gratifying to see your times depicted in paintings. At least this is a very personal feeling for me.
Right.
Right. I kind of measure times in paintings. Like,
Yes.
I know that 2001, I
Yeah.
was this sort of an individual because I've made those kind of paintings.
Yes.
Like, it's not particularly depicted in the subject, but it is depicted in the depiction.
Right.
Like the application of paint or the treatment of this acrylic,
Yeah.
or with the selection of canvases, or the violence in which sometimes these paintings go about. Like it is a reflection of that current state of mind that I had in those times. So it's kind of like a time capsule. It's kind of like a journal for me.
So if I look at your paintings and then I say, okay, 2001 you were this, 2005 you were this, 2008, 2015. So as a lay person, I don't say I'm a painter as well. I don't paint at all, maybe a little bit. So I see that okay, initially your paintings used to fill up the canvas with lot of colors. Then it became monochromatic, just black and white, and now it is taking up very solid spaces in the paintings. Like I see a lot of blank spaces and a signature. So it's not like earlier you would have said that this painting is incomplete or something. You just want to fill up the spaces. And right now you say, I'm not cared about filling up the spaces. I'm cared about the little space that I defined at the maximum level. So it is just one way of how I see. Now if I give you this feedback that where are the rest of the paint? Why are you not filling up a background to these scooters? As in, why?
Yeah, well, that was a very conscious decision, you see.
Right.
So if you look at any of so the subject matter, the treatment of this particular subject matter, right?
Yeah.
We are used to seeing these motorcycles
Right.
and this aesthetic of these motorcycles.
Yeah.
Essentially, the bigger design language that was followed during that time,
Right.
right? In against the background of that time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So for me, it was to bring about this aesthetic and put it in a timeless fashion.
Right.
But by what I mean by timeless fashion is there is no comparison
Yeah.
to this aesthetic with the background here.
Right.
So it is to focus on the aesthetic.
Yeah.
It is a conscious decision made to focus on the design language that was prevalent during those times, where
Yes.
things were handmade and things were shaped and molded to be, they were all inspired from different things. Like I've held it very closely, though I've never read it anywhere.
Yeah.
That Lambrettas were always designed after women.
After women.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because Lambrettas are, if there's not one Lambretta scooter that you'll find
Yeah.
that is, you could call masculine.
Okay, that's interesting. Yes.
Right? So
Ah.
there is that character to it, that character to that aesthetic, that character to the design and the philosophy of people who were riding it, people who would enjoy things like that. Obviously, appreciation also changes with time, right? It's not
Yes,
just
yes.
aesthetic.
Yes.
So it was a conscious decision to do the white because if I put backgrounds on this,
Yeah.
then people would not focus on the aesthetic.
That's a good observation. That's a good observation.
And it was a conscious drive to because nobody is used to seeing these things against stark whites, right?
Yeah.
And I personally wanted to see it myself. I could have just set it up in Photoshop and be done with it.
Yeah.
But I wanted people to actually look at it and what is the word I'm looking for here? And
Appreciate.
no, not appreciate. Reflect on the aesthetic of that time.
Reflect on the aesthetic. Right.
Because then, when you see an image like this, right,
Yeah.
you are trying to put it on motorcycles that you've seen in that time.
Right.
And that mental thought process that you would go for, where you would try to match, say, this image of
Yeah.
a EST Road King
Yes.
to a EST Road Kings, multiple EST Road Kings that you've actually seen in your life.
So I would say that is there some bit of your NIT that is coming in here, wherein you're trying to put in your engineering. So here, actually, the first question, if you reflect, we're talking about technology being left brain and artistic being right brain. So here, this is a perfect mix of that left and right coming together.
At least in the subject matter, it is more so because everything still has to fit, right? It is a motorcycle and your depictions still have to fit. A bolt has to go where a bolt has to go.
So I just want to break your painting language for some time,
Yeah.
and I would like to talk about more stuff about your philosophy of life in general. I mean, if we can understand each other,
Yeah, well.
in a way. So my question here is, what is the spirituality or religion. I'm not saying religion in the sense of Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, but religion in the sense of understanding humanity within oneself.
Yeah.
So, is there a religion that is associated with your work? If it is not textbooks, but that exploration, what did Jesus Christ go through? What did Krishna go through? What did Buddha go through? So, if you are a seeker of that sort, if you're going through a journey with your paintings and with your work, with your life, what will that be? If you can think about it.
Yeah, well, again, I'm again fapping. Like I'm just 27.
There's no faff here. Please go ahead and speak your mind because that is what we are trying to bring people. There's no faff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I would like to start from the engineering angle of it.
Right.
So, for me, engineering was never so much about computers. Well, I did BTech in computer science engineering, if you may.
Right.
It was more about structured thought for me.
Great.
Like, at least that's what engineering was to me.
Yeah.
Like, engineering teaches you to break down a problem into
Right.
manageable sets,
Yes.
attack the most important thing first, then the next, putting all of them together to come up with something that does something very well. Right?
Great.
So, that is my definition of engineering. So, engineering is about structured thought process.
Yes.
And that structured thought process gives me an edge over, say, somebody, not from an engineering background.
Right.
Right? So, I strongly conduct myself based on the structured thought. I mean, that is my takeaway from engineering. It's not the Java that I've learned or the C that I've learned.
Yes. Yes.
It is not. It is about logic and trying to break down problems into manageable sets and then reducing complexity and bringing solutions together to simplify, to make understandable, make legible, comprehend.
Right.
So these are the things that you try to do. And I particularly do not find design or art very different from it.
Right.
And I kind of hold my engineering time very close to me because I feel that structured thought has helped me a lot. It is probably my biggest asset so far.
Yes.
Clap, 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 clap.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay. Now coming back to the philosophy of life, if you may.
Yes.
For me,
Yes.
the personal interpretation of it.
Yes.
I believe very deeply about the concept of karma. Well, I also do the regular browsing of the internet and doing your stuff, finding out new things. And,
Yes.
right? So I particularly find the concept of karma very interesting.
Right.
And I also find the concept of using ourselves as a vessel more than, an owner, if you may. Like, we are a tool, right, really? If you
Yes.
think about it. Like, every one of us does many things. Some
Yes.
things we do better than others.
Right.
And that's where we try to position ourselves, put the best foot forward and do what we like, right?
Right. Right.
So, I particularly find karma very interesting because I try to define what my karma is.
Yes.
And what my karma for me at least has to counterbalance my strengths,
Okay.
right? So I focus my karma on where my strengths are,
Mm-hmm.
and then I see myself being more useful as a tool.
As a tool, you may. So, who uses the tool? You use the tool, or somebody else use you as a tool?
Yeah, well, this is something I am particularly not very sure about, but I have some vague idea about this,
Right.
right? And obviously it's influenced in different points of time with the literature that I've read and with the things I've seen, with my life experience, all of that.
Right.
Right? So it is always influenced. I don't know if this is the original thought that I'm going to say to you,
Yes.
but I feel who uses you as a tool is a
Yes.
very interesting question.
Yes.
And my answer to that would be that yourself,
Self.
the being, the existence of yourself,
Yes.
uses your tool. You as a tool.
Very Ramana Maharshi there.
Yeah. So that existence could be part of a bigger existence,
Yes.
which is part of a bigger picture, which is doing something my small mind cannot comprehend, or at least cannot comprehend right now.
Yes.
Maybe I might get smarter and comprehend the day after. But
Yes.
that's a different story, right?
Yes.
So we could be part of this bigger whole that is doing our small bits as our karmas and then going through in the spiritual life cycle. Well, that's just my Hinduism and what I know and my conditioning talking about.
Perfect, perfect. That's actually pretty deep thought. I hope that you get a little deeper into it and then you come out with some paintings, some reflection of that. If we could see it in your work.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why I haven't tried to conduct myself and my art in the original angle,
Yes.
where you say this is an original thought, this
Yes.
is an original solution, right?
Mhm.
I haven't done that so much because I feel I'm not ready yet.
Very great. Yes.
Right? It's because frankly I see a lot of work, right? I see art all over the place. Like the internet is crawling with art, right?
Sure thing.
Like
Yes.
there is the art from the yesterdays, there is the art of the tomorrow, there is the art of the today, and there is art from here, from there, from far away.
Yes.
All of that going about, right? So when I see all of it, maybe I'm not looking deeply, but I don't see things I particularly like so much.
Okay.
Like the original material that is created,
Right.
right? You find one thing that you deeply resonate with
Yes.
among 100 million things.
Yes. Yes.
And that one thing is too far and in between
Yes.
that I wouldn't put my chips on this original angle. For me, art is a pursuit of beauty. It is a pursuit of self,
Yes.
right? And that I feel it'll be more productive
Yes.
in the pursuit of the self to
Yes.
paint things that we understand perfectly, the real world.
Great.
And that is why I choose to be a realist. Because I could make abstract paintings, right? I could try, or I could conduct myself and spend time on it and make a body of work that goes around in that direction.
Yes.
But I particularly dislike that direction because I don't see a lot of fruit bearing trees in that direction. If you
Right. So, I mean, coming back to say a commercial angle to it,
Hmm.
you do sell your paintings, right?
Yeah, well, I do exhibitions come sale, but I wouldn't call myself a big name in art or I wouldn't call myself the best realist, if you will.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't potentially dare to call myself the best realist. Like, I've never had any art education.
Yes.
But if you think about it,
Yeah.
would I call myself an artist? I'd say yes, because I have the practice going.
Yes.
And it is part of who I am, so I
Right.
do it, right? About the commercial angle of it now,
Yeah.
right? So I sell my paintings, but do I want to sell my paintings? Yes, a small part of me wants to sell my paintings because it's crowding up my house,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That is one angle that really wants to sell these paintings off.
Yes.
Two, do I hope to make a lot of money out of it? Not really.
Yes.
I still enjoy what I do. I still enjoy design more than art.
Yes.
Like that is why I am in the profession of user experience design.
Yes.
And that's where I think my strengths are and I do it. Art is also where my strengths are, but I don't expect the world to change it for my behalf.
Right.
Right? So selling art is a slow process. Like
So, what is your next project from Bob Dylan's to monochromatic to bikes? What will be your next project?
so well, I always have like 4 or 5 projects running in my mind at any point in time.
Right.
But the perseverance to stick with one and make a body of work is what makes a random artist different from a professional artist.
Oh, okay.
Right? At least that's my take on it.
Right.
And I try to do one thing at a time.
Yes.
And to understand any subject, you need to spend enough time on it.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
So since now I've spent enough time on the aesthetic of motorcycles, I
Yeah.
could probably say that I understand what
Yes.
was going on in the heads of these people who were designing all of these things.
Right, so it was great talking to you, Manoj. A lot of insights.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot too.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Have a great day. Subscribe, like, all that
All
stuff.
that jazz.